anything for you in the SEC or the Big East, Wes?
Yeah, when I was looking at the SEC, you have a favorite, obviously, that I think you want to sell, even though they're the most talented team. Alabama, I do question, their mindset going in. And we have seen that it has affected them. They barely got out of South Carolina. They lose in the finale against Texas A&M. I think they were very fortunate to beat Auburn down there at the Coleman Coliseum. So they were close against Arkansas, which has kind of been a really erratic team, and that's a team I'm not sure what to do if I was wanting to buy in. I actually did buy in a little bit, about 55-1 when Smith was coming back, but it seems that Smith and Musselman are not on the same page down there, and that's why I think you're going to see Smith done this year. Maybe Musselman is like, hey, I recruited all these, McDonald's All-Americans and these five-star guys. Musselman's pretty damn good out of the transfer portal, probably one of the first ones to really, I think, take advantage of that when he was at Nevada. But Arkansas is a team I want to like, but man, they're so erratic. 12-1. Tennessee, without Zakai Ziegler, they have a tough time scoring anyway. So I worry about them. Can their defense be good? Now they got to play 4 games too, because they slipped to the 5, even though they're second choice in the market. They'd have to play Missouri again, who did beat them in Thompson-Boling Arena down in Knoxville. A&M, I was on them on Saturday against Alabama. A&M, I think, has had a lot of fortune, too, in close games. So they'd be a team I'd be selling a little bit. If I'm going shorter price, I hate to do it, being an Indiana guy, but Kentucky at plus 450. Now, you're never going to get value on Kentucky in the SEC tournament because they're always the best traveling fan base. But I know they lost that game against Vanderbilt, but this team's played pretty good ball down the stretch. I mean, they were going to be like first 4 out, go beat Mississippi State, beat Tennessee. Yeah, they beat Florida without Castleton, blow out Auburn, and then win at Fayetteville at Bud Walton Arena. So they've won 5 of the last 6. And I think Cal maybe has figured it out a little bit. I don't know if he's figured out that Tshiebwe has actually kind of been a liability on both ends, especially defensively in terms of pick and roll. He gets picked apart, and that's why he won't last in the NBA if he even gets a sniff. But I think Kentucky is, like, of the short prices, they would be the one I would be looking at plus 450, plus $5. And there's a couple interesting teams in the mid-range. I think Vanderbilt could be very interesting if Robbins is healthy. Without Robbins, I don't think that they can really make a deep run. But I like the stuff Jerry Stackhouse runs. I think he runs a lot of good motion, a lot of good ball screen action, screens off the ball. I like what they run. I think they're about 40-1. Mississippi State, can they muck it up enough for 4 days? Because this is a terrible shooting team from the outside, but they get in your kitchen and they can really guard. So, maybe them at 50-1. Those would be the 2 long shots. But if you ask me, okay, to pick who's going to win the tournament, I think Kentucky, and I think Kentucky's in the bottom half of the draw, which is the easier draw.
What was wild about, and I agree with you on Vandy, speaking of playing really good basketball down the stretch, they've gotten, if they had Scottie Pippen, obviously the son of the great legendary NBA, 6-time NBA champ, then you're probably more, I mean, this team is obviously profile-wise different if he's on the floor for an entire season, but not having that elite level score that can take over a conference tournament to me is what kind of holds me back. Like I mentioned, my West Virginia pick, if Eric Stevenson goes off for 4 games, which he has the capability to do, especially with a high variance West Virginia team that shoots a lot of threes and can't hit a lot of threes when he's going, that's the kind of player that you want to back with a bigger number. Can't necessarily get there with Vanderbilt. But going back to your Arkansas thoughts, I agree with you. Just price-wise, I mean, they're going to play Auburn in their first matchup. That is one of the grosser games you're likely going to see. A lot of free throws. I wonder if that Arkansas...
If you like free throws and turnovers, you'll love that game.
Oh, my goodness. I wonder if that game on Saturday, though, and you mentioned Kentucky's price point, that's why... they could very well win the conference tournament. I just wonder if you would have gotten a little better value on them because Cats didn't have Severe Wheeler or Cason Wallace. So while they won that game, but you go back to the midst of that game. I don't know if you're watching, Wes, but Devo Davis picked up a technical foul, subsequently yelled at the ref, said something else, got tossed from the game. So Reeves had 4 straight technical free throws to drag the lead out for Kentucky from 3 to 7. And then I think he had a 3 or a couple shots in the next few possessions. Kentucky never looked back. So you wonder how things would have played out. Now that might speak to the point that you mentioned about how much control does Musselman have of this team, even though they're very talented. I mean, from a guard standpoint, you think about Devo Davis, Nick Smith, Anthony Black, even though they don't have the Mizzou transfer in the front court after Trayvon Brazile, with him being done, I believe, in the latter part of non-conference play or in the midst of non-conference play.
Right.
So long story short, I can't get there with Arkansas. I don't think there's enough value in the number, and it's tough to trust this team just from a character perspective too after what we saw on Saturday. But defensively, they can get after you. You just wonder how that Auburn game is going to go, because to me, that is a true toss-up, considering when Auburn controls the tempo, they're very electric in transition, just can't hit shots. Going to be a foul fest like we both think.